to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Tony Reynolds,
Here.
Eugene Sullivan,
Here.
Stephanie Euler, Jonathan Smith.
Here.
Brian Vinciano,
Here.
Debbie Kowalas, here. Dave Hart.
Here. Okay, like a approval of the minutes, motion from somebody?
I move to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of July 7th.
Second. Open for discussion?
There was a vote on here, did that get fixed already?
Yes.
Somewhere.
Yep. Anything else? All those in favor? Unanimous. Chair comments. I guess I don't have any tonight for now, so we'll move on to superintendent report.
Good evening, school committee members and community members. While we still have plenty of August days ahead of us, August signals the end of summer vacation for school administrators. We're busy finalizing staffing, putting finishing touches on faculty and student handbooks, scheduling new staff orientation, planning for the teacher in service days later this month, arranging bus rosters, and getting the buildings ready. Our custodial and maintenance staff have worked hard to clean and wax floors, replace old carpeting with new tile, paint classroom spaces, and maintain our fields for township recreation and school sports practices. It's been a rainy and hot summer, which means the grass keeps growing and needs mowing. We're deeply appreciative of all behind-the-scenes work that these folks do to spruce up our buildings for September. I will be communicating with district staff and our parent community later this week to welcome everyone to a new school year and highlight some initiatives we'll focus on. Committee members, on tonight's agenda, you'll find staffing recommendations, including co-curricular and extracurricular advisors and coaches. We've also been working to keep our job descriptions accurate and up to date, and there is action recommended on these items. There are also minor changes that I know Jody has also pointed out on the agenda tonight, and I'm happy to talk more thoroughly about them. But briefly, under governance and the second read policies, there are minor language changes to number 7, KG, community use of school facilities, and when we get to that, I'll be happy to point out where that is. We added another staff member under LB for employment. This is a new special education teacher who was able to be secured this afternoon. We added some additional staff to D, special education. Not necessarily new hires, these are just transferring people to different buildings, and all of this is done to support our students' needs through their IEPs. And then finally, when we get to job descriptions, we made a minor change to number 10, the fields and groundskeeper, to add back in bus driver expectations. So again, as we get to those, if you'd like a reminder, I'm happy to do that. Thank you.
Okay, student reports. I guess we have no students, so we're all set there. Subcommittee reports. Finance and facilities. Brian and I attended that meeting, and we came away probably with more questions than we had answers. I know the bid process is a little different because the middle school is getting paid now, but nobody seems to know who did the bid process for it. I believe it was the town, I might be wrong, but that's something that we've asked Barbara to look at and check with the town manager and see if that's something we should continue that way or we should be involved in it with the RFP. Also, there's a bunch of questions on bills and stuff that we want to know, and Brian's the head honcho there. He checks everything out, and he wants to know stuff as soon as he can. So I've asked him to check with the superintendent, make sure that that she can give him all the information he needs. Did I miss anything, Brian?
Nope, sounds good, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and the next one up is policy.
We met on July 28th We've brought forward, ready for the second read, ACAA, harassment and sexual harassment of students, ACAAR, student discrimination harassment, Title IX, sexual harassment complaint procedures, ACAB, harassment and sexual harassment of school employees, ACABR, employee discrimination harassment, Title IX, sexual harassment complaint procedures, and KG, community use of school. So those are the ones that we've brought forward for the board to consider for second read.
Thank you. Okay, the rest of the meeting wasn't held, and the other one, you guys are still negotiations and ways away, right? Next meeting. Okay, public comment. I've been pretty liberal with this, and I'll give you more than 2 minutes if you need it, but we need to move the meeting along as soon as we can. Please don't use anybody's name, and please don't berate anybody. The last thing you want to do in a public comment, where it's on tape for the world to see, is to make accusations against anybody, so just be careful. Anybody for public comment? Mr. Moon?
My name is Jeremy Muth. I'd like to bring attention to the singular email system that you guys have created for contacting you guys. There's no longer an individual email. When I sent an email to the school board this past week, the only person that I got a reply back from was the superintendent stating that you guys had all received the email. This creates a big red flag for unethical behavior because last I checked, the only people that she's beholden to is the school committee. That you guys are her supervisor, regulatory, or whatever you want to call it. That needs to change. We need to be able to voice our concerns without her in the cycle, especially to you guys when it involves her, because that did involve her. So that needs to change. We need to be able to contact the school committee members individually to voice our concerns. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. I apologize for not sending you back an email. I checked with Barbara. I was a little nervous because there's been a lot of emails flying back and forth here, and I don't feel comfortable with answering an email without checking with a lawyer lately. So, but if you want to call me anytime, I'd be more than happy to try to answer any of your questions.
There's no number or anything listed on the site to be able to reach out to you. I can't even contact you by email.
I'm sorry, my number is 745-6126. Not that I'll be able to give you all the information you want, but I'll give you what I can. Okay, business and finance. Motion to approve annual contract renewals.
I move to approve the annual contract renewal with Northern Light Medical Provider Agreement to extend a term.
Second. Okay. Open for discussion. Seeing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor? Abstaining, a couple over here.
Because it's a contract and budget.
Thank you. I might miss one too, Debbie.
That's
I
all
wrote
right.
a couple down here for the patch.
That's all right.
Okay.
We'll work through it.
All right. Move to approve the disposal of technology items per policy DN disposal of surplus property. Second. Okay. Any discussion on that? We've been doing that, haven't we, right along?
Well, I know that Alex has been working to really make sure that we're holding on to equipment that is ready for student use or can be serviceable for parts and repair. And the list that he's generated, if anybody needs it, I have them taped or copied here, is really items that are no longer usable, outdated, and that really would be of no use to anyone else to even recycle and make use of. So it's good to clean it out so we have that space for other district uses.
Perfect. I know Patty Dern was interested in moving some of this stuff out, so finally we got it going. Okay, approval of the warrants. Oh, I'm sorry. We need to vote. I skipped it. All those in favor? Good. Approval of warrants. we have a motion. Did anybody want to set any of them aside or vote them as a block?
Block's fine.
That's your motion?
Oh, yeah, I motion to approve the 2024-2025 warrants and the 25-26 warrants.
Just have 24, 25, first block.
Second. Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Make sure I get you, Brian, you can't see over. Okay, and now the second block is for the approval of 25-26 warrants.
I move to approve the payroll warrants dated July 3rd and July 18th. So it's just the payroll warrants, not the account payrolls.
Second.
How come there's two of them here for July 18th?
Bullets 1, 3, and 5.
Two different.
Oh, okay, different accounts. All right, any discussion? Oh, did I get a second?
I
Yes.
seconded.
Any discussion? None? All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstaining, excuse
We'll
me.
abstain, and we'll abstain from the other one too, because they're payroll budget.
Okay, so we've got the payroll ones done. How about the warrants?
Just for process, I move to approve the account payable warrants dated 11 July, 18 July, and 25 July.
Second.
Any discussion?
So I signed them.
All right, all those in favor? All those opposed? Abstentions?
We won't.
Joe, you can just write abstentions and every time.
When it comes to budget.
Okay. And now, second reading of policies. Go ahead, Barbara.
Thank you to our subcommittee and to the committee members for their careful reading of these. The first batch that I just want to, let's take these in chunks because I think that way we don't want doing 8 or 9 all at once. So last month, there was the side-by-side presentation and the comparison of current policy and then what the revised should be looking like as we bring the policy language back to 2020 Trump administration language. So ACAA, ACAA-R, ACAB, and ACAB-R were reviewed by subcommittee. No language recommended to be changed at that subcommittee level. School committee members, I wanted to bring those 4 policies one more time to you. If there's minor language changes, we can consider that now. And then my recommendation, if the committee is in favor, is that we would approve those policies for second read with the noted changes if there's additional language to be considered. So I'll open it up at that point just for those 4 policies if there's additional language to be considered.
Motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have just one concern on all of them, which I know I've brought up to the chair and the superintendent.
Yeah.
That isn't on content, it's on process. It's because of the last, I think this is 4 months now, we have discussed, the first reading approved a true workshop. And I know we did quite a bit of work on it last month, but I don't think it met the criteria of what is intended as a workshop. So again, I don't have a problem with the policies and what they contain. My concern is on the process, that's all.
Okay, I agree with you, Brian, because I thought we were gonna have a little bit, bigger meeting when we get ready to do a workshop on this. But I think it is important to get some of this stuff in place before the school year. I mean, with a lot of this stuff, so.
Yep, no, I understand your position.
Okay, so, any other discussion?
I had some thoughts here. Well, I guess my first thought was just a compliment to policy committee. I thought it's just very well done. It looks like a lot of work went into this, so good job by all. I just had like maybe 2 points I wanted to make. In terms of like the definition of harassment, we could look at policy maybe ACAA, the first one, as an example. I'll just wait for you guys to get there for a second. Sounds like you're there. So harassment includes but is not limited to verbal abuse and other offensive. I would propose to add the word objectively offensive, because I do have some concerns about a subjective approach to harassment, and I could potentially offer examples of that, but I think it should be harassment that a reasonable person would find to be offensive conduct, as opposed to more of a subjective approach based on maybe somebody's personal experiences. That subjective approach could be reasonable from the experiences that they've had in their own life, but it could be objectively unreasonable. So I would just propose that small addition of the word objectively to the definition in terms of describing offensive conduct. And I have one more, but I didn't know if you guys wanted to weigh in on that.
It sounds reasonable to me.
Actually, I thought that was in the form of policy, it said objective or a reasonable person. I think that was in the last goal.
And maybe it's a rollback to 2020. I don't know if it eliminates that or if the intent was to eliminate that. I don't know, but I just thought it would be appropriate to add it back in.
So would you like to make that part of your amendment of where?
To Brian's point, that shows up in the hostile environment, those procedural definitions. So to Gene's point, I think it makes sense to put it here so you have consistency in your document.
And that would also translate, I think, in some of the other policies, not just ACAA, but if we went to some of the others, for example, ACAA-R.
Actually, could we just stay with ACAA?
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I move to amend the definition of harassment to include the word objectively. So it reads, harassment includes, but is not limited to, verbal abuse and other objectively offensive conduct. Is that what you intend?
That's what I intend.
So I move for that amendment to the motion.
Okay.
On policy ACAA.
And I would second.
Okay. Any other discussion?
So I'd have to vote to approve that amendment.
I have a question. I'm sorry, I know I'm not supposed to speak.
That's fine.
The policy we have written is directly from the state of Maine law definition. So there's two definitions, one under federal government that has the word objectively in it, and one under state of Maine law, which does not have the word objectively in it, and that's why there's a difference between the two.
Yeah, it might just come right out of the statute.
So what are we thinking now?
No, there's a motion and a second to add objectively.
Yeah.
So we would have to vote on the amendment
Okay.
to the main motion.
All right, so all those in favor? All those opposed? Unanimous. So if we broke federal law, we're sorry, but we're adding that.
And then, let's see. I guess that's it for that particular one. And then when we move to ACAA-R, I don't know how to do it here. There's a definition of harassment that starts with oral, written, graphic, and goes on. Actual or perceived membership in a protected category that is sufficiently severe. I didn't know if we wanted to replace sufficiently with objectively. kind of in the same vein as what we did for the former policy, so that would be the motion I would move for to change the word sufficiently to objectively.
Do I have a second?
Oh wait, I was gonna second my own motion, no.
Oh, no second, then we have to move on without the amendment.
In that same,
No, I'm just trying to write it in my head, that's all. So, I'm struggling to understand.
Section A, number 3, correct? Is that what we are?
Yes. Page 2 of 13.
well, in my opinion, the sufficiently would have a different definition than objectively, because I think we're just going back to that reasonable person standard as opposed to, I think if we use the word sufficiently, we're kind of falling back into that subjective kind of approach. Sufficiently as to who. I think objectively protects us better.
I hear that, and then I wonder if sufficiently, severe, pervasive, or persistent is the idea of sufficiently there is meant to satisfy that next clause, that it's severe, pervasive, or persistent enough to interfere with or limit an individual's ability to participate in school. So I hear what you're saying, and then I think that language is just meant to say it's harassment enough to interfere. It's sufficiently interfered with somebody's schooling.
Are we moving on from this?
Okay. We do need to vote for number 2, for ACAA-R. The amendment didn't pass, but we didn't vote to accept it.
We haven't voted to accept ACAA either. We just voted to accept the amendment.
Okay,
not to
so,
accept the policy.
so do we want to go down through and then vote on all 4 of them then?
However you'd like to.
Doesn't matter to me.
You want to just take them one at a time just to get them done?
Yeah, one at a time, fine, yeah. Okay, so, let's do, ACAA. Any other discussion? So we're gonna be voting on that with the amendment. Okay. All those in favor? All those opposed?
In favor, sorry.
In favor, yeah. All right, now we'll do ACAAR.
I think I had one more in that one. When we go to the appeal section, letter D.
So we've moved to ACA, I'm sorry, I'm just a very linear thinker. So ACAAR, so we need a motion to approve ACAAR.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So I move to approve policy ACAAR.
Second.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Now we're all set for the amendment if you want to make.
Well, just a discussion about letter D appeals. It says, after the conclusion of the investigation, the complainant or respondent may seek an appeal of the findings solely on the basis of either prejudicial procedural error. And I just kept reading that and reading it and reading it, and I just didn't know really what that was trying to say. And I was wondering if either an example should be offered or a definition of that term. That's what I was going to offer, but that may require, I don't know if I could come up with a definition on the fly right now, to be honest, but I was wondering if the committee wanted to take time to maybe define that term, or just leave it as is. I guess I know what the term is intended to say, but it's just kind of out there in terms of what that could possibly entail.
And I know you're a lawyer, but we gotta be careful because we've already had the lawyers look this over and so we can't stray too far off.
Understood.
Yeah, and what's the difference between a prejudicial procedural error and a procedural error?
Yeah, that word almost implies there was like a bias, but
How do you prove it?
how do you prove it, To me, like a procedural error should be enough with or without bias, maybe. Yeah, go ahead.
So I would just make a motion for ACAA-R to reconsider that language of prejudicial procedural error.
Would you want to just remove the word prejudicial?
That would be fine, because I think that would help us out a lot, because I think otherwise it's just really hard to pin down what we're saying.
Okay. All right, do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? So we're voting on the amendment change, and then we'll go back and vote on it. So, all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. Now I need a motion to accept ACAA-R with the amendment.
So moved.
Seconded.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Get them, Jody. All right. Now we need a motion for ACAB.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Debbie. Any discussion?
So yet again, just the definition of harassment. Trying to figure out. When I looked at this definition, unlike the other one, I couldn't really figure out a place to put my objectively reasonable one. So maybe I retract it because I can't figure out where to put it. So I'm all set.
Okay. So I need a motion then to accept this.
You already have it.
Okay, and who seconded it? Debbie? Seconded it? Any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? I'm trying to keep this straight, you guys, but I'll take all the help you can give me. Amendment ACAB-R on that one.
So a motion to approve ACAB-R.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion?
So here, they may have been corrected on this before, I don't remember, but when we go to number 3, harassment, where it says, second line, sufficiently, I think we already agreed earlier that that's fine. I was thinking of changing that to objectively, but I think we had already decided sufficiently, correct?
Last meeting, I believe, yes.
Well, no, just a few minutes ago. And I think if you look at the paragraphs there, they are verbatim.
Yes.
Okay, so then I will, since we already voted on that, I'll retract that. All set on that part. I was looking to see if there was that appeal issue. Here it has on page 12 of 13 appeals. It doesn't talk about prejudicial. This time it uses procedural irregularity, which I guess is not as problematic for me, so I'm all set.
Yeah, that kind of just speaks to procedural error, right? Normalized in the other definition, so.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? And now we're at, do you guys want to do the rest of the block or not?
Can I make a comment? I apologize, it was after the vote.
No problem.
So by us voting for this, does that mean what are we doing with the workshop? We're not having it?
Yeah, it's done.
Oh, okay.
You don't have a workshop on policy, it's already passed, it's no longer being worked.
Okay.
And when we brought it forth for the committee last month, after we were finished with the meeting, we made it clear that the school committee members, because we had 2 new sitting board members, would have the additional month to review the language, so there was no urge to vote on it that night. The presentation that I provided to the school committee was posted on the district website, and there have been no public comments on it during that time. So I think there's been sufficient notice for to register their thoughts about this, and we appreciate the committee's approval to move these ahead. Thank you.
Okay, do you want to do the rest of them as a block, 5 through 9, or do you want to do them individually?
I'll move to abolish policy ACAA-R1 and abolish ACAA-R2.
Okay. Second. All right, any discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. And motion on the next one.
We're gonna do 7.
7, yeah.
Let's see.
And if we do approve these policies, it'll be able to start school with a policy. They may have to be worked on later on, because I know we have a lot of issues with the town and the school straightening out what's what, who does what on the town side, what the town owns, what the schools owns, and who's responsible for everything. So Dr. Sargent's got a lot of work ahead of her.
So do we have a motion to move at least KG forward so that we can have discussion on that?
Not yet.
Yes, I move to approve policy, I have it on, sorry. I move to approve policy KG.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion is open.
So committee members, if I may, on KG, the changes that have been made since the subcommittee meeting are very minor. I would draw your attention to the first page of community use of school facilities. We had indicated at the top, we used the word that the form would be used for the occasional or short-term use of facilities, and then we just simply carried that language down again to 4A under rental charges. However, the following shall be exempted from the rental charges for occasional or short-term use of of facilities. So that was one change that was recommended, that was added. The other is on 4B, which speaks to, is on page 2 of 5, which speaks to a service charge. And at the very end of that paragraph, we added language that indicates that charges will be determined in advance. So that, for example, if an organization wants to make use of a school building on a Saturday, and we don't normally have a custodian working on a Saturday, but because we have an HVAC system and boilers and whatnot, we need a custodian present, we would need to identify the cost associated with that, and then have that conversation with the group asking to make use of the facility and explain that charge to them, so that there's no surprises. They would go into an understanding that that would be included. Those are the only two changes. The rest are in red, as is our typical fashion.
Yes.
Sorry. I just had a comment about the first line. School facilities may be available for appropriate community use. And I guess who determines that? Is that the superintendent? Who makes the determination about appropriate community use?
So when the form would be completed, and our goal is to have this available online, so that the organization that wants to request use of the facility would download the form, fill it out, and then it would be turned into the relevant party. If that's an athletic field, that would go to Mr. Sinclair. If it's for the use of the high school cafeteria, it would be to Mr. Walsh, and so on. Once I have policy language affirmed by the board, my next move would be to speak with our leadership team and read through it with everyone, so we're very clear on what the new procedures would be. And then I would say to my group, as usual, if they have questions about something, to ask in advance so we can talk through. I think the term appropriate community use then further is defined by not branded for any purpose that is clearly prohibited by law, contrary to the educational mission of the district, or for personal social events. So there's additional constricting language that goes beyond appropriate community use. But it would be my expectation for our administrative team, if they have questions about something, that they should be asking so we can talk through it.
So is long-term rent, and Dr. Sargent, my apologies for not bringing this up sooner, because I know I had some specifics on it, but it just jumped out at me. The long-term rental or lease of unused school facilities shall be authorized by the Herman School Committee. So by striking that that sentence, all facility uses will be approved within the administration, out of the school committee's hands. There's no more approval of any facility uses by the school committee.
So if it's been that the school committee's involvement in this has been only for long-term rental release, by removing that clause, that essentially would remove committee involvement in this.
And then I didn't look specifically for it, but I don't recall anywhere else in the policy where it states any definition or term of long-term rental. So then is it an assumption, and I truly pose that as a question, is it an assumption that all future use will be either occasional or short-term, and there will be no long-term or leases?
That's correct.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All set? All those in favor? All set. Now the next one is roughly the same thing, only it's the request form.
I move to approve KG form.
Second.
Open for discussion?
Has this, I'm trying to find it, sorry. Has this been run by legal before?
The form has not. I think you were also asking about the hold harmless.
No, I'm good with that.
So the form, the things we added to the form, first of all, again, it would be online, so it would be completed by the requesting organization. We've added just additional contact information so we can communicate back with those folks. And we've added in library as an area requested because that often shows up when people want to use it for meetings. And then we've, the office use down below lets us track which parties have reviewed it and where we are in that process so that we don't miss any steps.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right above the signature section where it says my signature below indicates that I read policy KG and understand the fee schedule provided within. Would it be worth adding to that? Read the policy and understand the fee schedule and stipulations of use provided within, or something like that. You know, so folks understand they're responsible for, you know, not only the fees but cleanup matters, having a custodian on site, things like that. Just gives a little more breadth.
a suggestion on the next last line. Did we deal with John's? Did we? I'm sorry.
John,
I
can
was-
you give,
No, not yet.
give me the language one more time?
I
And stipulation.
just made it up. To shoot from him there. Understand the fee schedule and stipulations of use provided within.
Or abide by the use.
Okay, thank you.
Can we, are we all set with that? Can we add the word, on the next last line where it says extent permitted by law, can we add Maine law? Oh, I'm sorry. So, the next to last line in the bold section, is this what we're doing?
You want to use neighbor, we're still on.
Oh, okay, I apologize, I'm looking at the wrong form. Ignore me,
You're not abiding by that form.
I am not.
That's okay, I lost my neighbor.
So do you want to ask for a motion? And a
Yeah, we'll have
second?
to approve the amendment, right, first.
I'm not sure.
So is that a motion for an amendment?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll second John's
John's
motion.
amendment.
Yeah,
Okay.
John's amendment.
Any other discussion on the amendment? All those in favor? Okay. Now we need a motion to approve the form.
It's already been, the motion's already there, we just need to vote.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? All right, now it's the waiver for the hold harmless. KG.
Okay,
I think that's what you were including.
correct. So I would motion to approve KG waiver.
Second?
Open for discussion?
Yeah, this is the one I wanted to add the word Maine to the bottom, the second to last line in the caps section where it says extent permitted by law. Can we add Maine law? That would be my suggestion.
That would make sense.
My thought is, I don't know if there's out-of-state organizations that ever ask to use our facilities. I would think that probably not, but if that ever were to happen, then there could be a question about whose law applies.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, so we're voting on the amendment, the main law. All those,
I second it?
all those in favor? Good. And we vote again for the hold harmless clause, the amendment, or does that take care of it?
Nope.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Good. And Barbara, go ahead with the first reading.
Okay, if I may, I'm gonna take these a little out of order. I believe that this should be the way they appear in your packets. Can we please take a look first at grading and reporting system for Herman High School? This would be IKAV-R. And again, school committee members, we were ready to discuss these in subcommittee, but we spent a lot of time on the second read policies, and so we're going to do this right here at this point. These would be for first read only, so there's nothing being formalized. Language suggestions are welcome now. You can email later as well, because this will come back for second read next month. The key change recommended for grading and reporting comes in paragraph 3, which is the red strike through, that notes these reports are issued to the student and mailed home. The goal at Herman High School this year is to limit the mailing home of schedules and report cards, and to the extent possible, we'll be making use of PowerSchool. one of the reasons we use it is so that parents can log in and see their students' grades and see report cards. That does not mean that a parent or guardian who wishes to have a paper report card mailed home can absolutely still request that and have that happen, but we didn't want language indicating that that was going to be our way of operating. It will instead be the exception for those who request. Any questions on that change for the high school? If we look next at grading and reporting for Herman Middle School, we have the same change recommended. This comes toward the bottom of almost the next to the last, sort of next to the last paragraph. We would recommend striking out, these reports are mailed home after the quarter closes. The goal at the middle school would be to do the initial report card, the first one sent regularly, but then for the second quarter, initiate the electronic sharing through PowerSchool. So we're going to slow our way into the middle school, but again, wanted to take that language out to recognize that those were changes we were going to recommend. The other change recommended at the middle school speaks about formative assessments accounting for 30% of a student's grade in a course. We've had some discussion at our leadership teams about the role of formative assessment, how much it should be counting, what types of formative assessment are valuable to teachers. And so it is Mr. Freeman's desire to really engage his faculty in discussions about formative assessments and remove the 30% marker as he has those discussions. And again, if some of this needs to sink in for a bit and you want to email later, that's perfectly fine. The last grading and reporting is for the elementary school. And whereas PowerSchool is used extensively at the middle and the high school by teachers almost as an online grade book, it is not used that way at the elementary school. The teachers finally will post end of marking period grades for students on the PowerSchool site, but it's not the intent to share that publicly or make that replace the report card at the elementary school. Therefore, in striking that initial paragraph, which reads, the purpose of Patricia Doran School's electronic grading and reporting system, PowerSchool, is to provide students and parents with timely information concerning students' progress in a course. It is not used that way. And so by striking that, we actually make accurate the way teachers are tracking grades and communicating with parents. Which is why the second paragraph has struck out, students and parents may view this linkage for each assessment in PowerSchool. We don't use it that way at the elementary school. In paragraph 3, recommending to strike out, these reports are mailed home after the quarter closes. It is the practice at the elementary school that for marking periods 1, 2, and 3, report cards go home in a student folder. The parent signs that they've seen it and the folder is returned to school. For the 4th marking period, the report card goes home in backpack on the last day of school for parents to see. So there's not a mailing at all, and there certainly is not an electronic viewing of grades. And then it is the principal's recommendation, again, that the language about formative and summative assessment comes out. That's just not the way they operate at the elementary grades. And the way learning behaviors and habits of work are scored has changed over time. The last time this policy was reviewed was in 2019, and they don't use habits of work or that scale any longer. The new language that states students will also be scored on their learning behaviors separate from their course grades. Learning behaviors will be reported using a similar 1 to 4 scale. Learning behaviors will have its own section within the report card that is sent home to families. That's an accurate representation of how that works in those grades. So those are the recommended language changes for grading and reporting at the 3 different schools. Again, this will come forward for second read at next month's meeting if there are things in the meantime, and we'll have another subcommittee meeting at that point that we can talk about these further, but you're welcome to either email me or our subcommittee folks for language considerations. Okay. Next, I would draw your attention to emergency evacuation drills, which is EBCD. And we don't have this policy currently, and it really is one that we should have, just to memorialize what our procedures are. I also sent this first read draft to our fire chief for his input, and he knows that he can get back to me over the next several weeks with any language changes that he has. So this is new language, there's nothing modified here. Committee members, I would just suggest as you read through it over the next several weeks, and when we meet with our subcommittee, if the fire chief has recommended any language changes, we can discuss it at that point before we bring it forward. And, sorry.
I just got one question.
Sure.
We're doing emergency evacuation drills. Should the police be involved in this, or is this just a fire policy?
So it does speak to emergency evacuation, lockdown, security drills,
So,
and it's the practice of the school to include our school resource officer or our deputy sheriff as an observer during
and
those.
we already have a plan, so has that plan been looked at with what we're getting ready to go over?
We review that with our deputy sheriff in advance of the school year, and then he meets with each school's faculty at the beginning of the year to review the security protocols with them.
Perfect.
Thank you.
As a side note, isn't that emergency plan needs to be voted on by the committee annually, so we should find that on the agenda.
That's correct. And then finally, we have use of private vehicles for school business, which also is a new policy. This came about because we've had some instances of teachers or staff members driving students for perfectly legitimate reasons, but there is language that would help to establish some protocols for a slight advance approval, such as providing to our business office proof of vehicle insurance, safe driving record, so then if there is the opportunity for a staff member to drive a student home with parent permission, of course, we have those pieces in place to ensure that the student is in good hands and that the staff member is protected.
I can't remember if I spoke to you about this, Dr. Sargent. There's just one thing on this one that really jumped out at me. No convictions for moving violations. That's a tall ask, I think. When you look at the definition of what a moving violation is, and how would that affect a employee's ability to be employed if it's their job to move people, if now they can't comply with this. So maybe we should look at no convictions is a very tall, or a very high standard.
So we can certainly review that in subcommittee when we meet next.
Like maybe misdemeanor
Yeah.
convictions would, you know,
Or minor, you know,
whatever.
no, holy moly.
Good point.
Are you looking for committee feedback now on some of these, or is this just going to subcommittee?
If you have language now that you're ready to put forth, we're certainly open to that, or you can wait and send it later.
Oh, okay. I just had some thoughts regarding like the volunteer drivers. Maybe we should, would we be providing kind of a list of those volunteer drivers to the parents, maybe at the beginning of the year or on a rolling basis as new volunteer drivers come forward? Maybe we could put that in there.
So the idea with volunteer drivers is not really to provide parents with options for picking up their children from school. It's really meant for those instances, for example, say, you know, it's spring musical time and we've got our students here late at night and they're, you know, doing the run through for the spring musical, and now it's 9 o'clock and a student's ride has fallen through, and they have no way to get back home. And so out of concern for that student's safety, we're gonna confirm with the parent that we can get them home, and then a teacher or staff member would be able to drive that student home. I'm thinking of it more in terms of those instances.
Is that, I don't wanna harp on it too much, but would there be is there gonna be a process for like a background check on the volunteer drivers? Or is it just, fill out the form or?
So the background check happens as a requirement for their employment.
Okay. Maybe I'm misreading this. So I'm looking at like number 1, transportation by volunteer drivers. I didn't know it always had to be an employee. I thought it said and parents or legal guardians. So they would not necessarily be employees, right? They would just be people on some form that were willing to provide transportation. That's kind of what I was zoning in on, if those people should be kind of provided to parents just so they know who the list of people is of parents or legal guardians who are willing to do this. And whether or not, just to ensure everybody's okay with it, a background check of those people. And then maybe like a check-in process. I don't want to, again, I'm trying not to make this a big deal, I'm sorry. But like, to the extent a moving violation happens, maybe some process where a parent or legal guardian who has volunteered to do this would be reporting that to the school, and they can no longer volunteer drive until the school says you're all set or it's vetted, kind of thing. Those are just kind of the thoughts I had about that.
And one of the things that I think we would discuss further in subcommittee is while we've included language about parents or legal guardians willing to provide transportation, my own comfort level is that I would look to only control our staff members and not include parents. And as parents, there are often times where if when my children were younger and I knew that somebody needed a ride, I'd reach out to the parent and say, hey, do you want me to? And that's a side thing. As a school district, I want to be careful of how much we involve ourselves in those matters. So I think when we discuss further, we can consider whether we keep that language or not. I'm glad you brought that up.
That's all I have, thank you.
All right, so thank you, everybody. That's the first reading, and I appreciate you letting me just talk through that. Again, there's plenty of time to recommend language, and then the next time you see these, it'll be at our September meeting up for second read. Thank you.
I move to approve the first readings as a block as presented.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
I had something, Jim, if you had something.
Well, I just have one more question. Is the intent on all of these just to kind of focus in on the red sections and not other sections that have previously been there? Is that the intent?
My goal in at least the grading policies is to go into the school year accurately reflecting that we're not going to be mailing home report cards at the middle and high school for all form working periods.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? All set. Okay, now we're in personnel. How do you want to handle this, Barbara? Did you want us to vote for I know the athletic one is separate, will be separate, but should we vote? We don't have to vote for this, but didn't you want us to,
Do you want to handle employment first, personnel?
Sure. Yeah.
I know you typically don't approve the resignations, you just acknowledge.
Right, yeah.
But to start with, just as a block, letter B.
Okay. So I have a motion to accept employment B.
So
the names.
Second?
Any discussion?
I had, I had a general question. So so obviously last, what is today? We're in August. So July was my first meeting, and we were asked to approve people in the first meeting, and we're being asked to approve people again. And I'm just like, I'm trying to feel my way through this. Because I have absolutely no information. I don't have like a resume. I don't have like a performance review. On the flip side, I feel like I don't want to be in a situation where I'm getting lost in the weeds and I'm like being like micromanaging things. So I'm like caught in this pickle here. I assume there's like this procedural process in place for a reason. We're asked to approve these for a reason, I'm assuming so. But I'm honestly I'm going to raise my hand on letter B just because, frankly, I trust the superintendent. That's really why I'm doing it. And for no other reason. So with that background, I just thought I'd ask the superintendent, maybe for the next 3 years, what could help me out with this is if you'd be kind enough to detail the hiring process, kind of like from the beginning right up to when an offer of employment is made, that would be super helpful to me.
Absolutely. When we have open positions come about, first of all, it starts with an approved job description. And our committee members know that there have been times during the spring where we were approving a person for a position, and in one instance I actually suggested revisions to the job description, and the committee approved that as we approved that person. So we start with a committee-approved job description which outlines responsibilities and qualifications for those positions. We post our openings on a number of sites. We post on Serving Schools for statewide hiring. For non-teaching positions, custodial, drivers, we will often post on the main job link, and we also post on our district website. We've been looking to enhance the human resources portion of our district website. As applications and resumes come in, those are sent to the relevant supervisor. So anything for custodial and maintenance, for example, would go to Mr. Davis, who's the supervisor for that. Teaching positions would go to the appropriate principal. And that supervisor would review the resumes and then invite people that they're interested in for interviews. And very often we'll have a committee level interview. So it's definitely more than just that one supervisor meeting with folks. In the case of our teaching staff, we require a demo lesson for teachers. So we place them in front of students, we prep them with, you'll be teaching a lesson on poetry or nonfiction, and here's what the teacher's been doing. In one instance, for a position on tonight's agenda, this is actually a teacher who has worked with our supervisor in a different district, and he has firsthand knowledge of her work with students. But for teachers, we require a demo lesson. Once a principal or a supervisor has a recommendation, they share that final recommendation with me. In the case of teachers and certificated staff, such as speech folks, nurses, and educators, there's a final interview with me. And then reference checks are handled by the relevant supervisor. I will review salary and guide placement for each of those people, whether it's custodial, whether it's secretary, whether it's educator. We look at the contract on those where that's relevant. And then finally, that person is submitted onto a school committee agenda for approval. And the committee's approval, and we've included the degree and step, essentially approves the contract that then is provided to that employee that engages their employment for the coming school year. I hope that was helpful.
Okay, so we're at B. Did we have a motion?
Yes, I motioned and Jean second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Couple abstaining over there because it's the Durham school and Herman Middle School. Okay, and what's this one, C, Barbara? Could you just give us, I know we cut a position once and I think we're adding the half position back. Is that correct?
It was determined through some discussions with the folks at the Maine Department of Education that occupational therapists have a cap on the number of students that can be allowed in their caseload. And we have such a significant number of students requiring OT that we're really not able to reduce the OT down to 0.5, so we need to, although this was a budget decision, we do need to recommend that she return to a full-time opportunity. I will suggest to our school committee members that because we are not filling the curriculum director position, that salary or some of that salary can be transferred into offset this. So it's not necessarily an increase to budget because we have savings in other places.
Okay, do I have a motion to accept C?
So moved.
Second?
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Good. And how about D?
I move to approve the special education program in-house transfers as listed.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? And then, on E, it's gonna do co-curricular activities. Is that all of them?
That would be all of the boxes, and if you get
Okay.
first and second, then we'll open the whole thing for discussion.
Okay, the only thing is, I wanna make sure I abstain, because my daughter's name is in the staff facilitator one.
Okay.
So I will be abstaining. Can I abstain on one person, or do I abstain on the whole vote?
So I've had school committee members who voted yes, and please abstain me on, and then they note a particular item. I think there's a way to put that in the minutes.
All right, well, that's what I'd like to do, Ben. Okay. Can I have a motion, please?
I move to approve the co- and extracurricular positions as presented for Herman High School department heads and staff facilitators.
Second?
How do we do this and allow Debbie and Dave to vote on the high school ones and not the others?
Okay, then I retract my motion. You want to retract your second?
I do.
Okay, then I move to approve the co- and extracurricular positions as listed for Herman High School department heads.
Perfect.
Second?
Okay. Any other, because I can vote on that one. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Good. All right. Go ahead, Brian, or whoever, to give us another
I
motion.
move to approve the co- and extracurricular positions staff facilitators as presented.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? With my abstention on the one. Jody, please. All right, now, Herman High School Athletics.
That would be Herman High School co-curricular.
Oh, co-curricular, excuse me.
Did I miss the certification somewhere?
Yeah, there's another block there, and new teacher mentor bonus. There's a few things embedded in that block.
Yeah, I move to approve the certification committee and new teacher mentors, as well as the wellness ambassador as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Can you confirm what grade level these are all in, roughly?
If it's a blend, then we can vote on it, but it is a blend of all.
Okay, all set? All those in favor? Herman High School co-curricular position. We already did, no, we did department head, right?
I move to approve the co-extracurricular position, Herman High School position, co-curricular position.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Now Herman Middle School co-curricular.
I move to approve Herman Middle School co-curricular position.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? And
We'll abstain
Yeah,
because it's middle school.
gotcha. All right, now that I skip ahead and we'll go to Herman High School athletics.
So I have a question. Is this appropriate time or do we have to open it up first?
No, you can ask a question before. I'm fairly liberal when it comes to that.
Well, didn't we
Please stop me, Barbara, if I'm off base.
Well, didn't we table a bunch of these last time?
This track,
Do we have to do something for that now? Do we have to bring them off the table?
So your proper procedure would be that you make a motion to take from the table, and then it would be Mr. McIntyre, Mr. Waning, the two Mr. Holyoaks, and Mr. King. And then they would return for vote.
Do you guys want to do that first? Take them off the table?
that would be fine. Yeah.
So I would do a motion to take the 5 gentlemen, Mr. Holyoke, Mr. King, Mr. Holyoke again, Mr. Waning, Mr. McIntyre, off the table.
Close enough, I second.
Okay, any discussion? All those in favor? Okay.
So now I guess we could do a motion to approve the superintendent's recommendation to employ the Herman High School athletics positions listed here.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I noticed that, Steph is not here. Steph Ware.
Mhm.
I mean, I would, I'm trying to think what I'm trying to say, but I'm wondering if we could table varsity girls basketball coach. Could we do that?
Is that a motion?
Oh, could I motion to table varsity girls basketball coach? And the main reasoning is Steph Euler. Oh, go ahead.
Just wait for some.
I'll wait for that.
So I'll second that.
Okay, open for discussion.
Oh, you guys waiting for me? Oh, well, I think we've been getting emails on this, and I'll leave it at that. And I know Steph Euler's not here, and I just think it would be better to vote on this particular issue with a full committee. The other question I had though was, I mean, it's August, school I think starts end of August, and we don't have a committee meeting until sometime in September. I don't know if there's a pressing need to get this position filled. I just don't know. Or do we have time?
So the pressing need would simply be that there are members on that team who've been waiting to know who their coach is going to be.
We can't hear you. Could you speak up, please?
Of course. There have been athletes on that team who are anxious to know who the coach will be so that they can begin to engage with that person. And you're right, practices would not begin until after the fall sports season is over, but I think folks would like to know who their coach is going to be.
It's been dragged on throughout the whole summer, and they've lost out on all summer opportunities. I think that it can be tabled until Ms. Euler can be involved in this.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor?
In
Of
favor of
table,
table?
this is the
tabling,
amendment
yes,
to
yeah.
table.
Just to
Just the
table.
amendment to table.
Right, correct, yep. Okay. I'm opposed.
You're opposed, Tony?
I'm opposed for only one reason.
Could I know why?
And I'll explain it, when the superintendent and the athletic director and the principal decide on putting somebody's name in front of me, then I'm not gonna decline that person unless I have a reason to decline that person. And for right now, I don't. I agree with what the members are doing here by tabling it to wait for Stephanie. I'm okay with it, but
You see, may I say something? I
course you
didn't
can.
sign your sheet, but if you have have a coach that has,
Can you come up to the,
I'd rather not.
oh, that's right,
I
speak loud.
loud enough. If you have a coach that has brought a team to the front, she has had wins. The ones that she hasn't won probably have been by 1 point. She's worked really hard with them. She loves those girls. She is a wreck over this. She does love those girls, and those girls love her. If you get into the pictures, you will see them hugging her and her hugging them. There's just 3 families, maybe 4 families, that are having a real big issue for some reason, because their children probably didn't get to go in at the first part of the game and play the whole game. You know how that goes.
I do.
You've seen sports, you've been here, you know Herman.
I do.
As I do. So I really would like to have her considered again. She works really hard. I just can't tell you enough how hard she works. If you would get into those pictures and look at the things that parents have written her, these ones that have complained. They have written her outstanding things from time to time when they're not mad at her. And the principal, I know, thought that she should be reinstated. The athletic director thought she should be reinstated. And I know there's been many letters written for her to be instated. So please, everybody, would you just take another look?
Well, they're tabling it.
Yeah.
You've won, so.
Like I say, there are a few that, if you look at the pictures, you'll wonder why. Why are these parents doing this? It's just hard for us to understand.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we're all set. We'll get.
Oh, you have her name?
Oh, yes.
By the way, I forgot to tell you who I am. You know why. I'm Beth Dowdy. I'm Loz's mother.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Whoops.
And I'm
Her
surprised.
mother, I mean.
Okay. All right, so that's the vote to table, so can I have a motion to accept the rest of them?
You have the motion, we just need to vote.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay. All right, we're all set there. Now Herman Middle School Athletics. There's one here. We take that one separate. Because it's,
Herman Middle School Field Hockey Volunteer Assistant.
Yep.
I move to approve the Herman Middle School Field Hockey Volunteer Assistant.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor? 2 abstentions over here. All right, job descriptions.
We have been working to clean up and ensure that job descriptions are accurate, and by accurate, meaning that if we no longer have these positions, we should remove the job descriptions. So we abolish recommendations for numbers 1 through 6 are because we don't have that position in district any longer. We never had a job description for our occupational therapist, and so there was the recommendation to adopt that. And then there are changes recommended, and those are done through cross-outs or red line adding in for descriptions number 8 through 14. And just as a reminder, committee members, a last-minute change was made to number 10, the athletic fields and groundskeeper, where we added back in the expectation that this person be able to drive buses and else.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve the job descriptions?
I move to approve the jobs descriptions as listed.
Second?
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor?
I had a, I'm so sorry.
That's fine. I'll
I
back
was
up.
slow on that one. I'm trying to find it, but is this the one, the reading recovery teacher? Is that one we're abolishing?
Yes.
I think I asked you about this. I just thought my first reaction when I saw that was, that sounds important. So I thought I'd ask you, why abolish that position, and is there any substitute position that takes on the performance responsibility?
And you're right, Reading Recovery is an important program. It's a trademarked program, so if we employ a Reading Recovery teacher, that teacher must attend the training set forth by Reading Recovery, and we must follow their rules on how we support students. So under the Reading Recovery program, that means we only are allowed to service first graders, and they need to be first graders in the lowest 10% of their grade level by reading ability. So you can imagine that that really restricts the number of students that we're able to service. There are also requirements for those Reading Recovery teachers that they attend regular training, which is not a bad thing, but it's expensive. So in employing the Reading Recovery model, we have teachers who aren't working with as many students as we would like, and we have teachers who are not necessarily working beyond first grade. So in abolishing this, because we've not had a Reading Recovery program in place at the elementary school for a number of years, we have instead literacy intervention teachers. Those teachers are also working with students who are reading below grade level, but it's not necessarily just the 10%. We also are servicing students in grades 1 through 4, and not only looking at first grade.
So we've changed the name to protect the innocent, right? It's a bad joke, but. Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor? Perfect. Stipend request for administrative intern.
And again, committee members, thank you for your careful review of our proposal for an administrative intern. Because our initial attempt at securing a part-time curriculum director did not result in a successful candidate, I had conversations with our leadership team, and we were looking at other unique ways to still accomplish the work that needs to be done. Ideally, we'd love to have 1 or 2 people who might assist us in sorting through curriculum documents and compiling them into an organized folder that we would post online. We need some support in leading different curriculum committees. We'd love to have some support in developing district professional development schedules, not only in service day schedules, but then other workshop opportunities for teachers. Having someone to oversee monitoring of the Title I and other grants would be immensely helpful. We'd love to have someone who can really dive into our assessment data and work with our leadership team to look at trends and look at areas that we are both proud of and that we need to focus more on. And then to also serve as a liaison to the recertification committee so that we ensure our teachers are maintaining their credentials. So rather than hiring 1 person for that, we talked about opening this up to an administrative intern, perhaps 2 people. This would ideally be opened up to our faculty, to those persons who already have achieved a master's degree. They may not yet have their proper certificate to be a curriculum director, but there's an interest that they might want to be a principal one day or be a curriculum director one day. And this would allow them to work perhaps 4 or 5 hours a week under the direction of myself, our school principals, and begin to take on those tasks that they would eventually be in charge of if they were hired in that position. I think it's a neat way to grow leadership within our own faculty. It's a way for us to provide some mentoring with our faculty and still get the important work done in the community with people who know our culture, who know the way we operate, and who probably also know how to find things much more quickly than somebody who would come in as a new hire. And so I shared this with all of you. You provided some thoughtful feedback. I shared it with our Teachers Association leadership and held a stipend committee. They approved it at that level, and so now it's back to you for final approval. And with your approval this evening, we would share this out with our faculty and explain more about the position so that folks who wanted to submit for consideration could do that within the next couple of weeks.
It sounds like a great idea to me. Any discussion? Oh, we have a motion yet to accept.
I move to
Sorry.
approve the stipend requested administrative intern as Dr. Sargent has presented.
Second?
Second, any discussion? All those, oh, go ahead.
So I was like, when I read this, I just had that it's kind of a similar reaction to like reading recovery teacher. I was like, director of curriculum just sounds important. So I just thought about it a lot. I just had a couple of questions. If I guess how will the needs of this position be met with a dress to cut in hours replaced by 2 interns? Because it seems like you're saying the 2 interns would do 5 hours, both of them for a total of 10 per week. Am I understanding that?
Approximately, yes.
And then, I guess formerly it was a full-time position, 40 hours. I don't know if assuming let's just hypothetically say this was not approved by the committee. I'm assuming you may seek a director of curriculum. Would that be a full-time position or a part-time position?
The position as was approved by the school committee back in, I believe it was May or early June, was actually a .5 curriculum director and a .5 instructional coach. It's my belief that this moving forward with the way I envision this position, it's not a full-time position, given the size of our district. I think it's a .5 at least, but in moving with an intern opportunity and having folks work with our building principals, I think there's a way to really share the leadership and continue to move our work forward.
And forgive me, 0.5 means like how many hours? Is that half time?
It would be a half day.
Oh, so like 20 hours a week? Okay. Is this like it's got, sorry, I'm struggling with this. So is this approach, are you familiar if this approach has been used in other places or other schools?
So in my former districts, this is a very common practice. We have a number of teachers, just like we do here, who complete a master's degree program, and then their only opportunity to really engage in that leadership work is when they get hired. And often they get hired out of district, and then that's their first chance to practice that work. I think this way, they're able to take on that leadership work, they're able to build a resume. It may be in the end that there are opportunities here that we hired them for, and they've been able to show us what they can do. If they end up leaving us to go enhance another school community, I think that makes Herman's name shine even brighter because this is where they got the training.
And this is in addition to their current job function, so they would be seemingly full-time, and then they would add almost like an overtime position?
So it would be open to faculty members, so yes, people who are typically a full-time teacher, and then they would opt to, if this is of interest to them, submit their name to be considered for this, and we would outline what our expectations for that assignment are.
And some of these questions I'm asking you, I apologize, we didn't
okay.
review, but wouldn't it necessarily cut into the day? Like, you know what I mean?
I would make it very clear that you don't give homework to your students to do and then start doing administrative tasks. This is above and beyond the school day.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Okay, any other discussion?
I just think it's a great professional development opportunity and a way to mentor future leaders. So I'm an advocate of it.
It's probably clever. Okay. All those in favor? Abstain? Okay, old business, you don't have old business, right? New business. Motion to nominate local delegate from MSBA Annual Delegate Assembly.
Somebody didn't show up tonight, so
We'll stick them with it then,
I
right?
used to be in a place where they say if you don't show up at the table, you're on the table. So I nominate Stephanie Lowe to be the
I'll second it. Any discussion?
I think she would do a very good job in that.
Yeah, she said she was interested, so it's not as bad as we sound. All those in favor? Debbie was worried over here.
I was like, thanks.
Okay, motion to nominate alternate delegate for the MSBA Annual Delegate Assembly. Can I nominate you, Brian?
I don't think I can. I'm trying to remain on the UTC.
Oh, that's right, too.
And I would
That's
be able
right.
to do both.
Okay.
They haven't approved me yet for the next year because we haven't had our meeting yet. But
Okay. So do we have anybody interested in being an alternate delegate?
is John or Jean interested?
Look at them, try to pass it by John.
Is the alternate delegate just somebody that fills in for stuff if she's unavailable?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's one meeting a year that is the delegate assembly that we really need to participate in. And then they have between 2 and 3 Zoom meetings a year that you can either participate with your region or you can participate with another region, and that's just to bring you up to speed. And it's the equivalent of the state school board. I enjoy it because you get to see a wide breadth of what's going on within school boards across the state. And you get the MSBA emails if you don't get them already.
All right.
Oh, we have a taker. We have a taker.
I'll be Steph's understudy.
All right.
All right, I second John.
Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Thank you, John. John's voting again.
Opposed? No,
You're-
Joe, no, Joe.
You're-
I'll go for it.
I just.
I guess I just need a motion to adjourn.
Excuse me, before you do, may I ask
Sure.
one thing that I forgot?
Yeah.
We had not been to this girl, we had not been to the tournament for 3 years. She took this group of girls to the tournament this year, and they lost by 1 point. That's it.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. We have one?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion
Second.
second.
Okay.
One discussion point before we go. though.
Sure.
This is to Dr. Sargent. In the last 2 years, we've always discussed the possibility of having to have a special meeting so that any last minute hires, do you foresee that being an issue that we need to be aware of before the school year starts?
Not at this time.
Okay, I'll accept that unless doubted.